All right. Well, welcome everybody. It is 6:02, so we're going to get going. This is a college planning night for seniors. Welcome to our attendees, and congratulations on you and your students making it to senior year. So that's a big accomplishment, and it's going to be a long and busy year, but it hopefully will be along with the stress of college, but it will be fun and enjoyable for you and your students. And we're going to try to help ease some of that tonight. So my name is Vinny Searcy. I am the Director of Pupil Personnel Services. And with me is the rest of the guidance team, and some of them are on camera, and then one we're having technical difficulties. So when we do the presentation, I'll go through and introduce everybody. So I'm going to share my screen and get going. What we'll do is we'll do the presentation, and then at the end, we'll have time for questions for folks. So, slideshow. Okay, so can my panelists, you guys can all see that, correct? Mm-hmm. All right, great. So I said today is our fall college senior college planning seminar or presentation. And we'll go through each step of the application process. For those of you maybe who attended junior year last year, we did some of the same material, so some of this might be a review, but there is some updated information as well. The first most important update is we've had some changes in our staff, and so I want to welcome some new people and introduce you again to some of the folks that have been with us for a while. So our student support team, in terms of the guidance department itself, consists of myself. I'm the Director of Pupil Personnel, although they put me at the bottom, if you notice that. It's kind of fun. Jennifer Prue is one of our guidance counselors, and she's considered our academic coordinator. And so she services students with the last name A to CH, and anybody that is a part of the GRIP program. Shannon Griever is one of our guidance counselors, and she works with students with the last name CI to I. And both Jen and Shannon were with us last year and previous years for Jen. Julia Travaris is one of our new guidance counselors, but comes with more years of experience than she probably would like me to admit here on camera, so we'll just let that go. But Julia comes from another district. We were lucky to have her join us, and she has names J to O, and then also helps us with dual enrollment. And then Michaela Sirois, who we can't see, who's under the name of Jen Prue right now due to some technical difficulties. She services students with the last name P to Z and anybody in the STEP or DHH READS program. And some of the folks that are not with us today is Heidi Kolitskis, I always say that wrong, Miss K, who's the school career specialist. And then the glue that holds us all together, to be perfectly honest, is Miss Thompson, Melissa Thompson, who's our guidance secretary. So one of the things we wanted to stress right off the bat is you're not alone in this planning process. In this application process, we have lots of things that we're doing for your students and for you as well. So one of the things we have this year, we've returned the Google Classroom for seniors, actually for all of our grade levels. But so any of you who have students that are in underclassmen, they will have a Google Classroom as well. But on that Google Classroom, the students will be able to access things like any college planning documents, information that they need for applications and so forth. Also, we're going to talk about admissions, rep visits, and anything else that really has to do with the process, college fair, that kind of stuff.
We have a big, sorry, Vinny, we have a whole big college planning guide, which outlines literally everything. So if you are really somebody who likes to have paper and check off things, you can go on there, print it off, and have a big pad of paper that outlines everything. So.
Yep, and you can also access that on our website. If you go to the high school website and then you go to student support services, there is a document there, and that college planning guide it's everything soup to nuts. It really covers everything. There's a lot of hyperlinks as well to documents and other websites and so forth. So again, if you're somebody who's really detailed oriented and kind of wants to take it step by step, it includes everything. If you're a first generation to go to college, there's even a section on that. There's a lot of information there that would just be impossible to cover in a webinar like this. But please take advantage of that and use that document. You can go and literally just look like, I just need information on this. Boom, you can find it and go right there. We also are going to an Instagram account. We found that, and this is Ms. Siroy had suggested this, that a lot of students have kind of moved away from Twitter. So we're trying to follow them and where they're at. So we're using an Instagram account, which is listed there. And we'll talk about upcoming events, links to webinars for college planning, financial aid, helpful reminders, reminding them of deadlines, those kinds of things as well. And with that, I will pass it over to Ms. Prue.
So this is just kind of going over what is Naviance again. It's the platform that we use. So students can go on, look up majors, research schools. It's where they're putting together their college lists of colleges they're interested about, colleges that they are going to apply to. It's the platform that we use to submit all their transcripts, their school reports, letters of recommendation. It's where they're going to request letters of rec for teachers. Again, how we upload everything. And there's the little logon page for Naviance. This PowerPoint will be, like Vinny had said, posted for you. So the students have access to Naviance on the Google page. They'll have it on the school website. They have it everywhere. But again, here's another link. If they have any issues getting onto Naviance, they can come down to guidance. We can reset their password. They can see Ms. Thompson. But we just went into all the senior English classes, made sure all the students could get onto Naviance. So everybody in the senior class has gotten onto Naviance recently and has done basically this whole presentation that we're doing now. So they have access to it. So one of the things that Vinny had talked about is the college rep visits. What we've done in the past, we've had them come in 1 day a week, and this year it's going to be on Thursdays during lunch block. And students are going to be able to sign up on a Google form. The form will be sent out. It's posted on Google Classroom, but once it gets posted on Google Classroom, they'll get an email to let them know, hey, this college is coming. You can sign up on this form, and then again, they can go to the Google Classroom and sign up. I think right now there are 3 schools that are posted up there. I haven't posted all of the ones that are potentially coming because we have some coming in November and December, and I didn't want to just have, you know, all of them listed on the classroom. So over the next few weeks, the ones that are coming will be there. Then when those are gone, new will be posted. But I also told the students, if there's any schools that they're interested in and they want me to call and see if we can get an admission rep in, please let me know, because those admission reps, 99% of the time, those are the people who are actually going to be determining whether or not they get into the school. Those are the ones that are going to be reading their applications and deciding if they're admitted or not. So we really want them, even if they know, oh, I'm already applying to PC and PC's coming to visit, and they've already gone on a tour of that school, still sign up, still come and see that admission rep, still come and have that visit. It's really, really important. And like I said, the senior seminars, we just went into all the guidance counselors, just went into all the English classrooms this past week. Last week, sorry. And we made sure that all the students linked their Naviance and Common App accounts. They created all Common App accounts. We showed them how to request initial transcripts through Naviance. Those are the only transcripts that they request is the initial. We will automatically send the mid-year, and we do send the final as well. And then we showed them how to request the letters of recommendation for their teachers.
There's sometimes been questions about whether students should send first term transcripts.
So first term is not something we typically do unless a school specifically asks for it. Sometimes it's part of the application process and the school will want it. Sometimes if a school is, you know, kind of hesitant and they want to see whether or not the student is a good candidate, they'll ask for it. Or maybe if they're waitlisted because they applied a little bit early, they want those grades, but the school will reach out specifically and say, we want the first term grades, and then the student will have to come to guidance and let us know, and then we will submit them that way. But it's typically not a transcript that we send out.
And if that's the case, I think it's important for parents and students to know that the schools wouldn't necessarily reach out to us about that, especially if it's not part of their process. So they're going to reach out directly to the student. So the student's going to need to let us know. I would honestly email the guidance counselor and also maybe stop by and just make sure they saw that email.
All right, so long list, college to-do list for seniors. And again, this is posted on Google Classroom, and everything we've kind of already touched base about with the seniors. So register for Naviance, which they've done. Add colleges to Naviance under colleges I'm applying to with a specific deadline. And we'll talk more about the different deadlines, the early action, early decision, and regular decision. So we went over how to add colleges and how to decide or where to add, what type of deadline you have. Create the Common App account. They've already done that. Add colleges you are applying to on your Common App account. We showed them how to do that. Match the Common App and Naviance accounts and sign the FERPA waiver. We did that with them. Complete the brag sheet and ask for letters of recommendation. So the brag sheet, again, is posted on the Google Classroom. They do not request a letter of recommendation for a guidance counselor through Naviance. They complete the brag sheet, share it with the guidance counselor, and they will request the letters of rec through Naviance for the teachers. And again, we showed them how to do that. Add colleges on College Board or the ACT, request that. We talked about that. So again, all of these things, we'll talk a little bit more as we get on, but this is all stuff that we've gone over with them.
I think one thing is important. I don't know if you ran into it, but some people are hesitant to sign the FERPA waiver, and that is up to you. It's up to the parent and the student whether they want to do that. But we've been told on a number of occasions. So what that does, if you don't sign that, that means you want to have access to any letters of recommendation. And colleges honestly have told us that they look down on that because they're worried about why you would feel comfortable just allowing the teachers to write what they, or whoever you have doing your recommendations, to freely write about you. So that is often a red flag in terms of the college admissions offices. So again, it's up to you, but we think we had to stress that if you don't sign that, it could hurt your chance of being admitted.
And again, the different types of application components, and along the side, you can say specifically who's responsible for what. So the application, Common App or institution specific, that's the student end of it. They have to go in, they have to fill out the application, and they apply when they're done. They don't wait for the guidance counselor or anything else. When they're applying, they're done with their application, they send it in. Letters of recommendation, that's the student responsibility to know how many letters of rec, what type of letters of rec. Sometimes you don't need a guidance counselor. Sometimes they only ask for 2, and sometimes you can just opt to have the teachers, and that's fine. But again, it's the student responsibility. Standardized test scores, talk a little bit more about this after, but that's student and family. The school does not submit those for you. The college essay, that's the student responsibility. Application fee, student and family responsibility. And we already mentioned this, the first quarter grades, if needed, the school will contact you and let you know, but the school counselor will submit those upon request. So the student, once the college reaches out and says, we need those first quarter grades, the student then needs to come down to guidance and let us know. The guidance counselor does not know if a school requires those or not. That really is dependent on the school, and the school will reach out and let you know that. And then the FAFSA or the CSS profile, that's the student and family.
And FAFSA opens on October 1st, typically. I'm assuming they're doing that again this year. And I think one of the questions we sometimes get is, well, why wouldn't we know if a school requires first quarter grades or some of these details? First of all, there's thousands upon thousands of colleges, and honestly, they change some of their requirements year to year. So it's really hard sometimes to keep up. So there are some colleges that we do a lot of work with and we kind of know. But again, anything that's sort of different, like first quarter grades, it's better to be safe than sorry. And could you maybe touch upon what's the difference between Common App or an institution specific?
So Common App is, again, another platform where the general, like the meat of the application is common. So the student only has to complete one section, which will siphon off to all the schools that are part of the common application. And then they might have specific essays or supplemental questions or things that, in addition to the institution specific, is the college itself on the website has a specific application where you have to apply on that website. So colleges like that, the student will have to go to that website and apply. A lot of those still are part of Naviance. So the guidance counselor can still give all the information it needs to the school through Naviance. So that's not an issue, but the student will apply to the college through the college's own website.
And then the only other thing I would say is on the college essay, like you said, sometimes there's supplemental optional questions. Optional is what they put there. We would recommend that those are not really that optional. If they have them up there, you should answer those essays. I think sometimes that's a little bit of a test about how bad do you really want to go here? Do you really want to fill out the extra 3 questions or not? And most of those are shorter, not a full essay. All right, moving on.
Right. So different types of ways to apply. Early decision and early action, you really have to be careful with these. Early decision is binding, which means that if you apply and you are accepted, you agree to go to that school and you're bound to that decision legally. So you submit an application, it's your first choice college. Most of the application deadlines they're earlier. Some we've actually started to see in October, November. But again, it's a binding legal
agreement.
Yeah, agreement. Thank you. I'm going to think of the word for a second. Early action, it's the same type of idea you want an early type of decision. However, it's not binding. So the same sort of dates, sometimes we are seeing some October dates, November dates, but students really kind of opt for this because they want to know sooner. Sometimes you get a little bit more application money, financial aid money. Sometimes if you're looking for the honors programs or certain specific programs within the school, you have to do early action. But this is not binding. But you will know earlier than all the rest of the students that are applying regular decision. Regular decision is in the general pool. You're typically seeing, December, January, February, sometimes into March. But it's just the general pool of applicants. The deadlines, again, are non-binding and they're widely offered. Rolling admissions, the admissions dates vary. Some of them have even gone, I've seen like into June, but I do tell students it's first come, first serve, essentially. So even if the date is very far into the school year, do not wait. I did have a student a few years ago who the date, I believe, was like sometime in the spring. So she was very overwhelmed with her senior year. And she said, I'm going to wait until after Christmas when things kind of slow down. I was like, I really don't think you should. You really should do it like beforehand. And she's like, nope, I'm going to wait. And she waited, came back after Christmas, and she went to go apply. And it was specific to that school. So she went on the website and the button wasn't there to apply anymore. They had already filled up all of their spots. And so they weren't accepting applications anymore. So that was it. So rolling admissions, if you do have that, again, apply as soon as you can. I would not wait until the end.
And if anybody's there thinking about early decision, I think you really have to understand that this is a situation where you, no matter what, I don't care what my financial aid package is, because you might not even get that information. I am going to go to this college no matter what. So that is a big commitment. We've also heard stories where students have applied early decision to more than one college. That is not allowed, basically. And the colleges know. We were told of a specific situation where a student applied early decision to 2 different colleges. The first one they got accepted to, they found out that they had applied to another school. Both of the schools took back their admissions, and they didn't get to either one. So again, if you're going to go to early decision, it really is, I don't care what happens, this is the place I'm going.
And then again, when you're applying to schools, we tell the students try to have a range that you're applying to. So Naviance is great in the fact where it gives different scattergrams where students fall, and they're able to kind of see if the school is a reach, a match, or a safety. So reach would be, you know, you kind of fall below the average of the freshmen that are accepted there, but you're still within the possibility of being accepted within your test scores, your GPA, and all of that, and possibly like 1 to 2 on your list. Match, you're right in the average of the freshmen that are accepted there. And that should be really kind of the majority. And then safety, again, 1 to 2. You know, you're way above the average freshman scores. So we try to tend to have students like between 6 to 8 would be a good range. But again, it's really up to the students. I've had one student who, nope, this is it. I'm going to apply to this one school. I'm going to get in. It doesn't matter how much it costs. And this is the school I'm going to. She applied, she got in, and that was it. And that's where she went. And I've had other students who applied to 15 schools. But again, you're paying for all of those applications. And then if you get into all 15, now you really have to figure out exactly what am I looking for? And you have to come to this big decision. So to try to make it easier on you financially and everything else, I mean, 6 to 8 is a really good number, we tend to say. And then having a range. I don't know if you want to add anything else.
No, I was just going to say, these are, you know, we have the scattergrams and so forth that are on Naviance. It's a little off, I think, due to the pandemic. You know, we got to remember that, for example, we haven't had international students in a while. So some of the schools, especially the higher end schools, I think accepted more students than they may have accepted, you know, local students, for example, than they would have prior to the pandemic. So it's a good indicator, but I don't, it's not, as it says here, 100% guaranteed. And then there's some schools that they're kind of the hot school for a year or two. I remember that happened in Norton a number of years back with Providence College. A number of students, honestly, my own son, should have easily fell in the match. But it was a school where it just got a ton of applications that year for some reason. And so that cutoff line was higher than it usually is. And sometimes it's the other way around, where a school that's been hot for a few years suddenly doesn't get as many applications, especially right now with international students. So, you know, it gives you an idea, but again, I think the best case is, as Ms. Prue said, do reach, match, and safety, and, you know, set yourself up for success.
All right, so I'm going to be going over some of the important pieces of the Common App. So again, like Ms. Prue mentioned, the Common App is something that's accepted by the majority of schools your student's going to apply to. I think there's over 800 schools that are part of it. So instead of having your student have to fill out the same information over and over again, an advantage is they really just have to fill it out one time for the most part, and it will be sent off to schools. When they do make an account, which they all have made, we encourage them to use a personal email address, different from their school email, which is what they have access to Naviance through. The reason being is down the line, if they ever decide they want to transfer, their Norton High School email will go away. So if they ever need to access that information, and it is a lot of information, so it is a time-consuming application. So if they ever need to access it in the future, that's why we encourage a personal email address. One other thing I do want to point out as well is you can see on the screenshot that there's a few different tabs. So a way to figure out if a school is a Common App school or not is if you go to the college search tab, and if you start typing in a name, if it doesn't come up, it's not on the Common App. So then you can go directly to the school's website to find the application. So one thing that we mentioned before is that FERPA waiver, which I'll talk a little bit more about. This is something that will need to be signed off on before we can end up linking up the Common App and Naviance accounts together. So really before students can apply to any schools. We recommend that students waive their rights, and it does sound intimidating, but kind of how what we touched upon before, the students are waiving their rights to see the letters of recommendation and transcripts before they're sent to the schools. So it shows that they put a high level of trust in who they asked to write the letters. I think it also shows that they didn't have any influence over what was said about them. So the colleges looking at the letters can say, okay, all of these great things were said because they're true. Not that the student wanted to tweak anything. And typically, like I said, we have students or recommend that students waive their rights. So you just have to do it one time. A student will have to add a school to the list. You can click on the college. You can see the recommenders in FERPA tab. You'll just have to complete it. And again, you only have to do it once. You don't have to do it for each school. So this sounds simple, but it's super, super important. We really encourage everyone to make sure they enter all of the information correctly and carefully. I've already had some seniors come down this year who I've had to remind to capitalize things here and there. So capitalization, punctuation, just simple, proper grammar, that's a good kind of baseline for the colleges. I think it's a little bit of a red flag if they don't capitalize like their last name on something. So really just encourage them to proofread. I'm more than happy to, we know we're all more than happy to help proofread for our students too, but just the real simple things go a long way.
I think that's a good point. I know we've talked, and I've had numerous conversations with college reps. They want these to be like the essays and so forth. They really want to hear the student voice, and they read enough of them to kind of know oftentimes when, boy, it seems like an adult maybe wrote this. So they don't want that, but they do encourage, you know, as Ms. Cruz said, have somebody look it over before you hit the submit button on anything, or before you make sure somebody else has eyes. Don't change necessarily what's on there, but talk about capitalization, punctuation, proper grammar, tone, all of those kinds of things.
So we, like Ms. Prue mentioned, went to the senior English classes and went through this with the majority of them. We had them link their Common App and Naviance accounts together. And the Common App, kind of how we mentioned before, is the main meat of the application. So that is the student's responsibility. All school documents are going to come from Naviance. So again, that's recommendation letters, that's transcripts. And by linking the two accounts, once the application is sent by the student and everything's sent on our end, it allows it to become a complete application that the schools can access. So there's a video that the students all have access to, and I know we'll all be meeting one-on-one with our seniors just to make sure that if they haven't, that they do this. And I think we'll probably send the presentation out if you want to look at the video too. So the steps to do it: create a Common App, which they already did. They really just need to fill out, they go to Norton High School. They need to add at least one school to the list. They need to sign that FERPA waiver that I talked about. And then they'll be able to match the account. It will bring them directly to their Naviance account, which all students have access to. And then they'll just match them, and that will allow, again, for the students to send their part, for us to send our part, and for it to become a complete application.
Is this me? Okay, so now we're going to talk about testing. A lot of colleges, well, not a lot, some colleges have changed their guidelines, but if your colleges are requesting SAT or ACT scores, it's the student's responsibility to send those scores. We don't have access to the College Board accounts. That's your own account. So if your school is asking for them, students need to log into their College Board account and request the score reports be sent to which schools are looking for them. You can receive 4 free score reports. There's a 9-day window after the test date where it allows you to put in the schools for free. And then after that window, it's $12 per report. And for the ACT, you can also put up to 4 schools in when you register. And after registration, you have to pay for the reports. So again, check. I think on the next slide, it talks about schools being optional, or the slide after this one. But in terms of dates, registration usually takes place about a month before the actual test. So for the SAT, the upcoming test, there's one on November 5th. So registration for that one has to be by October 7th. There typically is a late registration fee if you miss the October 7th deadline, which then College Board charges you even more money. So just be mindful of those deadlines. And then for the December 3rd SAT test, you have to register by November 3rd. And for the ACT, again, registration takes place about a month prior. So for the December 10th, sorry, my screen is cut off.
November 4th.
Thank you. It's like, and then February 11th, I believe it's January
6th.
Thank you. Okay, so that's testing. And if we move on to the next slide. So again, with COVID, one of the advantages actually was that many colleges have decided that they do not require testing as part of the application process. The best place to know if a school is still looking for SAT or ACT scores is directly on the admissions website. If you don't see the information, you can always email or call the admissions office. They love speaking to families and especially students. So just check on that. I think this was referenced earlier too, colleges are changing yearly. So, you might want to check this year because a college may have had a different policy on testing last year than they do now. If you are unsure if they require ACT or SAT scores, again, reaching out, that could be a question. Also, if your child meets with the reps that come to our schools, they can ask those questions in person. But again, reaching out to schools, especially having the student reach out, is a great way for them to start making those connections and learning who your child is for when they read their application.
Oh, can I just?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Going back to testing, one of the things I was going to say is if you did not put one of the schools down when you originally took the test and your date's coming up and you need to send your scores in, be aware that it takes 1 to 2 weeks, sometimes up to 3 weeks to get the scores in. So some schools, your application needs to be complete for it to be considered on the due date. So if your scores come in after the deadline, it's not considered a complete application. So you need to make sure those scores are sent in prior to the deadline date. There is a rush order for your SATs. However, also some schools do not take the rush order. So that will be actually laid out for you on the school website. I've seen will not take rush orders, needs to be complete, application needs to be complete by deadline, whatever, everything is laid out right there for you. So just be aware of those deadlines. The other thing too is if a school is test optional or the college is test optional, the major or the school that you're applying to, like the nursing program, may not be. So you also need to be aware of that. So if you're applying to, like I said, the nursing program or the engineering program, you may still have to submit your SAT scores, even though that college itself is test optional. So.
And people often ask, how should I determine, should I go test optional? Should I not? Again, I think having a conversation, it's okay. Don't be afraid to call and have that conversation with your admissions rep. A lot of schools have assigned admissions representatives for the area. So, or, you might have a Bristol County rep. So you can find that information. If you're not sure, come down and see us and we can help you with that. But again, in talking with folks, if your scores are not great, but everything else is, you might want to consider going test optional. But if you have good scores and maybe, didn't do that much other than sort of classes, you didn't have a sport or an activity or so forth, you're definitely going to want to try to add that test into that, giving them more information to decide whether you're a good candidate or not. So if you're not sure, again, I encourage you to come down and sort of talk it out with your guidance counselor, have a conversation with your, with the admissions reps, and just kind of make it based off of your own personal situation.
And I'm sorry, one more thing. You can also withdraw your scores. So if those were the free scores that you sent to a school and you're like, oh, those scores are just really bad, I don't want to submit them, and the school is test optional, like Julia said, Ms. Tavares said, sorry. The admissions reps love talking to you. It's great to make those connections, call them up and say, you know what, I really don't think that's a good representation of me and what I can do. Can you please withdraw those scores from my application? And they will do that. I've actually had a school call me and ask me to have a student contact them and say, can you please tell them to withdraw their scores because we want to admit them, but we can't with their SAT scores. So I had them do that, and then the student was admitted. So it's not a bad thing to withdraw your scores either.
Talk about super scoring. How they super score. Some schools will accept super scoring, which is a combination. So if you have multiple, I'll just do it. If you have multiple tests like SATs, and one time you did really well on the written language English part, and then but not as great on the math, and then the next time you did better on math, they'll oftentimes take the two highest scores basically from the highest scores from your SATs and combine them and create what they call a super score. I think most colleges are now doing that, but again, it's something to check with either your guidance counselor and or your college itself. And then sometimes people ask, well, should I take the SAT or the ACT? I'll be honest, in Norton anyways, most people take the SAT, but they are slightly different in how they, I guess, present the questions and the information. If you're not happy with your SAT and you want to take a shot on the ACT, I would say go ahead and do that. Again, kind of a personal story. My son ended up doing much better on the ACT and actually got more money out of it. So $100 investment, I think, got us about $1,000 a year. So it was but just the way he felt more comfortable with the way those questions were phrased. So, if you're not thrilled with your SAT, but you're sick of taking it, you might want to take a shot at this if you have time. Sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Tavares. Sorry, we cut in on you there.
I think no, and just for people who aren't familiar with the difference, the big difference between the two tests is the SAT is just English and math, whereas so you call it ACT. I've always
sorry. That would just me being me.
Maybe I've been doing it wrong, but that one has a science component. So for your student who maybe excels in science, they might want to think about taking that one and then comparing and seeing which one they would rather send to schools.
Excellent point.
And I think, is this where Mr. Royce?
Yes. Yep, so we're going to be talking about letters of recommendation right now. So I believe Ms. Prue and Ms. Griever touched upon letters a little bit earlier, but it's really important to check how many letters you need for your specific school. Sometimes schools are only asking for 1 to 2 teachers. And if you end up putting in 3 or 4 teachers, you may not get the top teacher that you want based upon who's submitting their letters first. It's also really important to have that face-to-face conversation with the teachers and asking them, can you please write this for me, giving them the proper notice. We do recommend at least 2 to 3 weeks for both your teachers and for your guidance counselor. It's really important to give them that time when we have, a lot of letters that we're writing. And if they do agree to write you one, we did talk about how to request that on Naviance. And in the following slides, we'll touch upon that a little more. And then if you'd like us to write one of your letters, we do have a brag sheet that was emailed out, and it's also in the Google Classroom. And that helps us write, you know, a really good letter about you, helps us get to know you better, especially for the newer counselors. And then I've actually had a couple of students ask me this, but if you're having someone outside of NHS for a letter, you do need to have them send it on your behalf. This is not something that we can send for you, and they will not be on your Naviance. So it's really important to communicate with them and have them send it to the admissions office directly.
And it's perfectly fine to do that. We just can't submit it through Naviance. So that's what we're stressing there. But you can absolutely have a coach or a boss or somebody you think that really knows you well. In colleges are happy to receive that. I would recommend, again, kind of reaching out and letting the rep know or the admissions office know that you'll be sending a letter via snail mail. Because, just so they're out, looking for it, and maybe even confirm a week or two after the person has sent it, to make sure that they got that letter and it was included in your file.
So this video we did show in the senior English classes. So if you click the link, you'll see how to actually add those teachers onto Naviance. The one that we showed was under the general letter of recommendation. And this was important because it will go on to any future colleges that you may add when you're working on Naviance. So we do recommend that. And this is what it'll look like, with the steps listed out. So if you go to Naviance, you'd be adding in the request, then you'd be selecting the teacher from the drop-down menu, deciding if you want them to be, which colleges, all current and future colleges. And then you can even include a personal note to thank them, which is very important. We recommend that. And then you would just click your submit the request.
And I think it's important. I was gonna say, I think it's really important to have that face-to-face, but then you have to then follow up. The student, it's really important to follow up with this request through Naviance. And once you do that, again, you're not trying not to be a pain, but you want to say, hey, I just wanted to let you know, maybe send a quick email or reminder in person that I sent that request, thanking them again. And just making sure, because especially as you can probably imagine, there's certain teachers that get multiple requests from students. So, just sending them a gentle reminder is not a bad thing, as long as it's done politely.
One of the English teachers actually that we were presenting in his class said that his cutoff is 30. So once he's agreed to 30 letters, if you're number 31, he's not going to be able to do it. So be mindful of just, asking early too.
And I think it's also good to give them, so we have a brag sheet that our counselors use, but it's okay to maybe make a copy of that, give that to your teacher. Or if you have a resume, they may know you as an English teacher, but they maybe don't know that you volunteer at the nursing home, right? Like they may not, or they may have known that when you were their student 2 years ago, but kind of forgot that piece of it. So giving them that extra information is only going to help them write a better letter for you.
One of the things we stress with the students is more is not better. So if a college only asks for 2, do not go out and get 4 letters, because 2 of those letters are not going anywhere. They will just sit in Naviance. If a college is only asking, if all the colleges are only asking for 2 out of the 4 that you get, 2 are going to get uploaded and sent, and then the 2 will just get sent there. So just because you have extra letters, you can't push those out. Like I said, they'll just kind of sit and hang out, and they won't go anywhere. So only ask for the number that the colleges are asking for.
So once you have completed adding in the teachers, this is what your page will look like on Naviance. And it's important that you can see whether it's requested or in progress. Sometimes you're going to get emails from the schools saying that they haven't received a transcript or a letter or things like that. But you can always check with your teacher or your counselor just to see where they're at. And it takes time for colleges to upload and process everything. So sometimes you'll just be getting those reminder emails, but they do have all the things that you need.
And that happens all the time. And what can happen too is, I do this all the time. If a student emails me and says, hey, the college doesn't have it, we can do a screenshot of when it was uploaded. And actually there's a code saying that they do have it. So student can call the admissions office and be like, hey, on this date, my counselor did this, and they can look it up and go, oh yeah, we have it. They just blast out these mass emails saying a lot of that stuff sometimes.
And sometimes it's in their queue, but it hasn't gotten to their quote unquote folder. So they base it off the folder, although it's sitting in their kind of queue waiting to be uploaded themselves into their system. So, but always double check. We'd rather err on the side of caution. So don't assume just, oh, well, no, I know, Ms. Prue sent that. Well, if you get an email, it's better to check with us and we'll confirm whether it went through or not.
So I know that we have accomplished a lot, but we do still have some more upcoming tasks for the seniors. So one thing that will be coming out is the diploma verification. So this is making sure that the student's legal name is spelled correctly. There's no errors. We do need a parent or caregiver signature for that. That's something that we'll be handing out, and then you will turn back into guidance, whether it's to Ms. Thompson or your counselor. And then don't forget that there's also a completion of community service hours. For this class, they'll need 20 hours, and that's something, again, that you turn into guidance. We can let you know how many hours you have if you're not sure, but you do need to hit those 20 hours.
And if you need help finding community service, reach out to us, especially Ms. K has some possibilities out there as well. Okay, I think this one's for me. So if you are a student athlete, especially if you're considering Division I or II sports, to be honest, most of the athletes at this point have been contacted by coaches and so forth if they're going to look at playing 1 or 2. But you must register with the NCAA, and then there's requirements within that registration that you need to meet. So you need to go to the website below at the Eligibility Center. You create an account. Once that account is created, then it will be sent to me. But the interesting thing is they upload it to the website that's connected to Norton High School, but they don't send any kind of notification to me that somebody new has registered. So I go in there periodically and check, but if you do register and you haven't done it before, please let me know. I then upload your transcripts, both I can do it as a junior, and then I do it one more time as a final. They actually don't need the one that we do for the colleges in January. The other piece of that is you have to upload your test scores. So when you go to the SAT, for example, like you pick a college, there's actually going to be an NCAA eligibility center link that you can click on to say, okay, send it to the NCAA. I think it's all zeros, which is nice when you go looking for it. But I cannot send anything to the NCAA in terms of your scores, just like we can't send them to the colleges. You need to do that. So please follow up on that if you're interested. If you have created an account already and you know that's where you're going, please double check with me that one, it is actually there, because sometimes that's happened as well. And I've had to reach out to NCAA. They've had the wrong school, or there's a Norton somewhere in Ohio. Sometimes it gets sent there. So please just make sure that I know that that's happening. And just a reminder, not everybody, well, 2 things. Not everybody goes or is ready to go to college right now. So we understand there's different pathways for different folks. So we do have a school to career services. As I said, that's Ms. K. She's really helpful. She can do career exploration. She can do, it says here, resume and cover letter writing. For those of you that maybe I'm not really ready for college, or I'm not sure what my major should be, but I'm going to apply, maybe undecided, but I'd like to explore more of that. She is there for that. She can help you with any of those things. So please reach out. You can go down to guidance. She's there 4 days a week. Set up an appointment, and she'll help you with those tasks. She also is there for job applications, part-time jobs. We're going to have a seasonal job fair, hopefully, if we can get enough folks to come in, where folks that are looking for seasonal workers part-time will be in the school, and you can apply. She does interview prep. So if you're either interviewing for a part-time job, or maybe you're going to go do interviews with your colleges, she can help sort of prep you for that, how to act, how to interact with those folks. She also helps Ms. Albritton with internships, job shadows, informational interviews. So, I'm kind of interested in, I don't know, nursing. I don't know why we keep talking about nursing tonight, but we have. I think I want to interview somebody who's a nurse, and maybe in different kinds of nursing situations. She's willing to do that. So please, if you have any of those kinds of things, you want to explore any jobs and majors, she can absolutely help you with that information. All right, then just reminders and then any questions. This presentation is recorded and will be shared on the MPAS website for future viewing. And then the actual presentation, I believe Ms. Prue will be putting up on in the Google Classroom. And then on October 3rd at 6 p.m., we're going to do a Zoom presentation on financial aid basics for 11th and 12th graders. So we'll go over kind of the process, the FERPA, the FAFSA, and other kinds of different kinds of financial aid and merit aid that you might be offered, and how to kind of look at the packages once those start coming in. There's a gentleman who, believe it or not, works for AAA. They have a whole college financial aid process program that they do. And there's a lot of opportunities for people who have AAA. They're members, they have even more that he'll go over. And then if you're not able to make that, or you want to look at other things as well, MEFR website for webinars and podcasts on financial aid. All of this information went out to parents when I sent out my guidance fall and winter schedule of events. So all of that information, links to the websites and so forth, are all there. So with that being said, let's see if we have any questions. I know there was one, but we answered that, which was, can you do letters of rec outside of the school system? So with that, is there any other questions from the folks out there? All right, well, not seeing any. First, I'd like to thank all of our attendees. Thank you for coming. If you have questions, if you need support, that's what we're all here for. So please reach out to your guidance counselor. They'd be happy to help you through the process. Thank you to the panelists, my guidance counselors, for being here tonight, and to our interpreters and our closed caption folks as well. Otherwise, everybody have a good night, and good luck with your college search. Bye-bye.